Now, yeah.
Any minute now. So we're live. Welcome whoever's watching. 60 seconds. It feels like New Year's Eve. It's been the day that I've been waiting for God knows how long. But quickly, Theo, before they come out, who would you like in terms of first game, first match? What would be your ideal?
I'm thinking something on the South Coast. Maybe Southampton away, Bournemouth away, Brighton away. But ideally, I'd love a home game on the opening week, get the 3 points at Stamford Bridge. So maybe a Southampton at home or one of the newly promoted clubs, Forest at home potentially. Let's go with that. Forest at home.
I'd like Forest. I think Forest would be... I mean, we had a bad run-in, if you remember last season. I think we had like a couple of tough games. It's always interesting though, because for me, like you said yesterday, here we go, some of them are coming out already.
Everton away.
So Everton away, I'll take it. That's brilliant.
Followed by Tottenham at home.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I'm impressed with that. Everton away. I was literally just about to say, if we get a game where we feel like we can beat the team, Everton away is I'm looking forward to that opening game of the season.
Finishing a season at home against Newcastle, that's always good.
It used to be good.
It used to, but just a home game to finish the season, I'm always happy with that. Boxing Day, Bournemouth at home.
That's not bad. That's not bad at all.
Last game before the World Cup break, Newcastle away, which will be tricky.
Yeah, that will be.
First game of the new year in 2023, City at home on the 2nd of January.
There's some tough... I mean, every fixture is going to be a tough fixture. I don't think that we can pick out one or two. I think Everton away, first game of the season, I'm happy with. But yeah, I think it's all going to come down to what we spoke about for weeks on here. You know, who comes in, who are the players that we're going to come in. I wanted to talk to you about some of the previous opening day fixtures, because I was looking at them last night, and there was one that stuck out for me. I sort of wrote it down so I didn't forget it, but it was Coventry City, 1998. Yeah, we lost to Coventry City. Darren Huckabee, Dion Dublin scored, and then Gus Poyet. Well, Gus Poyet scored after they scored. They got 2 in 20 minutes. But I don't think we have the best record on opening days. I think if you remember, was it Burnley as well? I think Burnley
BS 3-2. I think Fabregas and Cahill getting sent off. United at Old Trafford 4-0. We lost. It's been a bit hit and miss in the last 10 years, but I think we've been quite solid at times, beating Hull, beating Burnley away, beating Brighton last season, beating Huddersfield, I think 3-4 seasons ago. Last season, we had Palace at home, Chalobah's debut and Chalobah's opening goal. So it's been very hit and miss. I'm a bit worried about Everton away. It's been a bit of a bogey ground for us, if I'm completely honest, in the last couple of years. Even if they were abysmal last season, they got that 1-0 win, which we spoke about in our previous episode, being one of the worst defeats of the season. And the football we played was absolutely dreadful. So you're kind of hoping whichever players we do bring in, whether that be Ousmane Dembele, Koulibaly, Gabriel Jesus, they slot in before the 6th of August. Richarlison, you never know. It could be. I can imagine them getting a bit of a hostile reception should we be in Chelsea colours on that day. But no, it's a tricky game, but there's nothing worse than losing on the opening day and just seeing your rivals just have those 3 extra points ahead of you. So I'm a bit nervous, even though it's already in 2 months' time, but I'm getting nervous now.
Yeah, and rightfully so. I think, it's going to be difficult. I'm just trying to pull the full fixture list up so we can see it here. Everton away, Tottenham game after. I think that's a really good August. Let's be honest. I think Leeds, one of the clubs that I picked to go down this season now is Leeds. I think they might struggle, but Leicester and Southampton, you said you wanted some coastal games, so you've got one by the coast there in terms of Southampton. Obviously, I love playing Liverpool early in the season. I think we done well last season if you think about the game at Anfield. although that's at Stamford Bridge. But the game at Anfield last season was 1-1, down to 10 men just before half time as well. So I think playing Liverpool at that stage in the season for me is good. Let's have a quick look at our December period. So yeah, like you said to me last night, obviously there's only 2 games due to the World Cup in December and November. And then we've got that weird sort of period where there isn't many games, leading up to the World Cup as well. But I think October is going to be crucial. I think you look there, they've almost crammed 6 games: Crystal Palace, Wolves, Villa, Brentford, United, Brighton. Some tough fixtures in there. I think at that point in the period, I think if we have a good start to the season, you look at that October period, I think for me that's crucial. I think obviously in April as well, you look at how many games you've got to play, and then obviously factoring in, Champions League, factor in FA Cup, League Cup as well. Obviously in October, but FA Cup in April as well. That's a lot of fixtures to play.
Yeah, I'm looking at those last 3 games of April. United away, Brentford home, Arsenal away, with a couple of days in between each one of them. That's going to be a tricky run-up. Very, very tricky. And then you have to consider that we're going to have Champions League football from September to November. I think a match almost every week, midweek, I think they said, because there's 6 games to play. And because there's no fixtures, end of November, beginning of December, they're going to cram as many as they can, I think, throughout September and October. So you look at that busy period of October where we've got 6 Premier League games. There's probably going to be at least 3, maybe 3 or 4 Champions League games midweek in between those games. Probably a League Cup game as well, somewhere in there. It's going to be busy. It's going to be busy. Yeah. We spoke about transfers and bringing back some loan players in the last episode. Seeing these fixtures is making me realise we're going to need it more than ever for this season.
Yeah, definitely. And I think another key thing for the season is the 5-sub ruling. So I think if we've got obviously that 5 subs coming in, for me personally, that's crucial, because I think if you look at, like we just said, around October and April, even around those periods around November, December and January, because you got to think as well, this players coming back from a tournament, the climatization, adjusting back, just the whole sort of World Cup being around that period isn't ideal. But I think the 5-sub ruling is another reason why we really need that depth in the squad this season. I think we really need to be able to look at the depth in the squad, utilise some of those loan players that we've mentioned in terms of, Billy Gilmore or Conor Gallagher coming in, and Purdue as well. We've got to utilise it and use the squad wisely. I think that's going to be so crucial. I look at games. I think we've done this last season, but I always look, and I think you just mentioned it, around those last games of the season, thinking if we need, 6 points to try and clinch the league or whatever it is. But you look at those there: Bournemouth, Forest, at Stamford Bridge, Man City away is probably the one that stands out in that, that 4 in May. You'd expect them to be up there come May, for the league. So, and Newcastle away, like you said as well, is a difficult one. The sort of advantage of that is that we're at home against Newcastle on the final day. But if we are, let's just hypothetically start talking quickly, but if we are in contention for the league, we've got City to play. I mean, you look at that game there, that's going to be crucial come May.
Yeah, I think we were sat here probably this time last year saying that we'd be lifting the Premier League trophy, Watford at home last season for the last game. So I'm not as hopeful, given that we haven't signed anyone yet, and just how kind of Liverpool and City proved to be almost in a league of their own last season. And I think the kind of what we're going to have to do is to close the gap on them this season. Yeah, like you mentioned, City on the before last match week is going to be tricky away as well. You think maybe, hopefully, if we've competed well enough, we'll be quite close to them. If not, if it's like last season, they'll be maybe 20 points clear of us or something similar. I've got a question for you, because obviously you're not London based. Is there any particular games at home that you feel like you're looking at that list, tempted to make the journey down to London if you're able to get a ticket?
Definitely. Tottenham, obviously, second game of the season, especially the signings that they've made. I think that'll be a really good game. I think obviously Perisic, they've just brought in. I've lost my head, but they've just brought in someone else as well. I think who it is.
It's Bissouma, I think it is.
Bissouma, that's it. Yeah, so sorry. Yeah, that's going to be a really good signing for them as well. There's still talk about Christian Eriksen going back there as well. He's rejected Brentford, so I think Tottenham would be a really good game to get to. Obviously, Liverpool, especially after the January game last season, the 2-2, I think that's going to be a crucial game early in the season as well. The big ones, you know, you look at United, I think Forest would be a really good one as well come the end of May. I think Forest are going to have a really good season if they can get it right. I think, you know, if you see some clubs that come up from the Championship and they have that first brilliant season and then it's normally the second season that they struggle. But I think if they can get it right, so I think if they're at that place where, I'm not saying they're going to be pushing for Europe or anything like that, but if they're pushing for like a top 10, you know, top half finish, I think that game at the end of the season would be really good for them as well. So I feel like that'd be a good game. But yeah, those are, you know, the key ones, the big ones. I think Palace as well. I think Palace will have a good season. So January, you know, 14th, got Palace there. That's going to be tough. I mean, just looking at that January now, actually, that's tough. You know, Man City, Palace, Liverpool, like you said as well, there's normally a League Cup game around then as well. You know, you normally play your semi-finals, I think, around then. I don't know if that's changed with the World Cup, but those would be the standout for me as well. But I'm just looking at this tweet here. From the Alpha Footy, we haven't won at Goodison since 2000. I mean, the picture's fitting. If anyone can't see this, it's Lukaku on the floor. But just looking at some of the comments on here as well, we've got Shreya Elizabeth saying that we had the first 6 fixtures look tough, but I'm hopeful. Can't wait for the 6th of August. Could be dangerous scrolling down here, but yeah, I think that's it really. But yeah, just in terms of those fixtures, I think, yeah, you know, the key ones stand out, but I'm looking forward to seeing what Nottingham Forest can do next season as well. What about you? What kind of fixtures are you thinking? Obviously, I know you'll get to quite a few of them, but just in terms of the fixtures, which ones are you hoping that you can definitely attend?
I'm hoping, obviously, being a membership holder of Chelsea Football Club, I'll get to all the home games when I'm in London. I'm looking at some of the away games this season. Obviously, it was a bit of a struggle last year to get to some of the away games, given how hard it was to get a ticket. I'd love to get to Craven Cottage away. That's literally around the corner from my flat here in London. I'd love to be able to get to that one. Brentford away as well. I'd love to get to make that trip further to West London. Everton away even. Opening day.
I'm going
to try to be there. If I can get a ticket and I'm not on a summer holiday, I'd love to be there. It's a ground I've been to twice. I think when we beat them 6-3 and we lost to them 3-1 with a Naismith hat-trick. I think you were there as well that day. And you just want to be there for the opening game. You don't want to be watching it at home on TV. You kind of want to be part of the crowds. You want to be part of supporting your team in the stadium. But other notable ones, I think I've never seen Chelsea Leeds at Stamford Bridge. I've never seen it. I'm trying to remember. I don't think I've seen that fixture. I was away last season. And I think the season before they were, it was played behind closed doors. So I'd love to get to go to that game at Stamford Bridge, and if I can, maybe make it to Ellen Road. But no, like you mentioned, also obviously all the big ones, your Liverpools, your Uniteds, your Cities, Tottenham on the second match week at home as well. You feel like Conte might have assembled a decent squad by then to compete. So that's going to be a very tricky fixture. But now I'm looking forward to the season. I said I wanted a break from football after the game against Watford, but just seeing the fixtures now, I'm getting a bit more excited and a bit more pumped up for the season.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. I think, you know, I said it was like I couldn't sleep this morning or last night. I was just waiting for the fixture list. It was like Christmas morning, waking up this morning, took the kids straight into school, came back and just, yeah, to me, this is now officially where we get excited for the season. It's interesting. So I think one of the things I was looking at and we just spoke about was how do they, you know, compact after the World Cup, how do they compact all those fixtures in? And you can kind of see they've tried to stagger it pre-World Cup and post-World Cup with the October and the April. So that's interesting. But I do think, you know, having, you know, going back to that sort of transfer sort of stories that we've been hearing, I think a lot of those, you know, the Koundés, Koulibalys and the loan players we've mentioned, you know, even bringing in a Jesus or a aheemSterling, I think now looking at this and visualizing it properly is going to be crucial to get as many players in with quality as well, not just players because of the sake of it, but with quality that we can bring in, do a job and stagger those fixtures and rotate the squad, but with the same quality. I think that's going to be crucial next season.
Definitely. I think one last thing I'm going to add is October, April. Those 2 months are going to be crucial to our season. Absolutely crucial.
Yeah, definitely. Before we wrap up, it's only right that now we've seen the fixtures, It's too early to say. We don't know who's coming in, but ideally, what do you give? Say, let's give it a percentage, but out of a percentage, what would you say is a realistic chance of winning the Premier League? Based on, let's say we get Koulibaly, we get Koundé, we get Ousmane Dembele, we offload Lukaku, and we bring in Gabriel Jesus as well, and Declan Rice. Oof. Let's throw him in there. Let's throw him in the mix.
I think it's just so hard to say because when we signed Lukaku last year, we thought we'd be running away with the league in a way. But I think we've got Tuchel, who's a brilliant manager. We need to remember that he's a brilliant manager. I know his home record's been a bit up and down in the last season and a half, but he's a brilliant manager. We bring in some quality players like all the names you mentioned, and they kind of get the hang of the club, and they adapt to the system and therefore the Tuchel's formation in pre-season, because we've got a pre-season tour in the US, which will give some of those players some game time. Some of the players that have been out on loan, the likes of Ampadu, Gallagher, maybe even Gilmore. I say we'll definitely close the gap with City and Liverpool. I'm confident. I think if we bring in some quality players, they adapt. Tuchel cements his system even more than he has in the last year and a half, then I think we'll close that gap. But I don't think we're going to win the league again. I think there's still a lot of work to do. And you look at the players that City have bought in, Haaland, and they're linked with Calvin Phillips now. Liverpool are losing Mane, but they're bringing in Darwin Núñez, who I think is, for 100 million, that's big. That's a lot of money. It's a lot of money. But
he actually doesn't worry me. My worry is Diaz. Yes, I think Diaz is going to be the one next season. I think he looked unstoppable last season, and I think they got him in January last season. So can you imagine a full season of Luis Diaz next season is scary. Yeah,
but players that come from the Portuguese league seem to do quite well. They seem to do. Diaz is another example of a player who's come from the Portuguese league, but I do agree, it doesn't worry me as much as a Diaz or a Salah or a Mane would have worried me had he played against us. But no, I think we'll be closer to the top two, but I don't think we'll win the league, unfortunately.
I agree with you to an extent, but I do think the World Cup is going to play a massive factor on people's fixtures this season. I think not just in terms of injuries, but I just think in terms of managers' preparation ahead of the World Cup and after the World Cup as well. I think it's going to have a massive impact, and I think it's all hindsight and ifs and buts at the moment, of course. But I think, let's just say, for instance, and I don't want to wish injury on anyone, but if Haaland gets injured, or Darwin Núñez gets injured, or just someone of a key player for a key club gets injured, Ederson, Van Dijk, someone who's just throughout the season gets injured. We saw how Liverpool suffered without him when Van Dijk was out for the rest of the season. So I think it's going to be one of those seasons where squads are just going to need to be as depth, the depth has to be there, the quality has to be there. But I think we've got a chance. I think as long as we retain the players that we have, which for me, Azpilicueta's key next season now. Alonso, not so much if we can bring in a decent replacement, which we've been linked with a couple already. Obviously, the Lukaku situation is a totally different kettle of fish, but just in terms of bringing in that quality Premier League experience, in terms of maybe a Declan Rice or aheemSterling, Gabriel Jesus, one of those sort of players, then I think we've got. It's all about the start for me. If we can get a really good start, which I'm confident we can, with those August fixtures, with the September fixtures, even the October fixtures, I think we can. I think if we can build up that momentum like we did last season, if you remember, I think December we were top of the league, or just before December. But it's then carrying that momentum on throughout post World Cup into the second half of the season, and we've just got to try and do that. But if we do it, there's no reason why we shouldn't. There's no reason why we shouldn't, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's just a shame that Norway and Egypt haven't qualified for the World Cup. Now that I'm thinking of it, but
did they? Yeah, they didn't.
But I think, like you said, I think the only reason we got top three last season was because of our form before maybe November, December. So I think if we get some momentum in those opening months and we carry that on throughout that post World Cup period, then I think we've got a chance. And there's no December slump this year because we've only got 2 fixtures to mess it up in. So it can't be that bad. So, I'm fairly confident, but it's going to be a big, big challenge and a lot of ifs and maybes.
Yeah, definitely. But for those who've been listening or watching, or if you're watching this after the live, then please make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Spotify as well, episode 63. I've probably got that wrong, but I think it's right. Episode 63 from the Shed Ends out now. So make sure you go and listen to that. It's all about player rewards, transfer news as well. Todd Bowley taking over at Chelsea as well. So go and give that a listen. Theo, as always, go and enjoy your day of Queen's tennis in the sun. Bit of Pims. But yeah, we'll be back soon with another video from the Shed Ends. Don't forget to leave your comments as well about the fixture list as well, and we'll be back very soon. Thanks for watching.